Yeah, what we're jumping off here, and obviously, like, at its heart, this is a philosophy product. Obviously, there's a number of very specific examples of how we've applied our business philosophy, but the more and more we've gotten into things, and part of what we're going to be getting into this video, we may have an examples video after this. Some of the mistakes we've made.
Yeah, and it can sound kind of scary, the word philosophy, but it's really just not.
Yeah, there's two words that we're going to talk about, or two phrases. One's philosophy that can be scary, and the other is deal making. Both not scary, but easily they could feel scary.
Right, because I could just see me coming from the point of view of not really being familiar with those terms. They just sound big, and it's kind of like, whoa, that sounds involved.
I like how you were talking about your mom earlier when we were going over this stuff. How you make it so personal.
Well, yeah, like we were saying we were about to do this video, and I was thinking, we were going over a few notes and things, but mostly stuff is off the cuff. But we were saying, I was just saying, what would somebody like my mom want to hear?
Yeah.
And some.
And what would benefit her?
Exactly.
Not so much what would make her
want
feel
to
good.
hear. Yeah. What would she be able to understand and benefit from? Without being like, whoa, this stuff's way too high level for me, because it's just not high level at all, really.
No, this isn't.
It's just
we don't want this to be high level.
It's just a little bit of a shift.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite more simple than a lot of the other stuff out there, I think.
I think you and I are much happier people. Even actually, both you and I became millionaires at about the same time. Mm-hmm. And there really were some great times back then, and I think we look back with a lot of joy at those times, and I think we'll share some of the good examples. But we also went through some tough times back then and made some huge mistakes.
And for me, the funnest time is now, and like maybe the first 9 months before I ever made any money. Just like all that learning and everything was pretty exciting.
That's really cool.
It was like a shift of like my belief that, wow, this can actually be done. Like people are really making money online right now.
What was that like for you? We didn't plan on going this direction, but I'm so curious.
It was just crazy, like I couldn't believe, like I remember, well, it was, obviously I didn't know if it was true, but it seemed like it from the posts people were making. And
like
what people were encouraging.
Were there any posts that you remember specifically? Or
not really. The first thing I remember really was when I made like $300 in 1 month. And I think it was like my...
Was it
like after the 9 months of training and learning and things like that.
Right. Was this after you're an actor, or while you're still kind of transitioning?
Still acting, yeah.
Okay.
And I was just thinking, how can I make a little bit of money, because like acting gigs are few and far between, and I actually just wasn't very good, and especially in the beginning, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And they say like 95% of actors don't even make enough to like live at poverty level.
Well, that was a huge thing for you.
Yeah.
That you really talked about, and then even once you got to the top 1%, then that was even stratified incredibly. Where there's a couple guys that are like Tom Hanks, or Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, where they're commanding this huge amount of money.
And it just wasn't fun either. I mean, when I was sitting on set for like 14 hours to say like 3 or 4 lines.
Right.
And I was just there in this miserable little trailer, like squeezed in.
Which is amazing, because, you really actually had a relatively decent career. I mean, we'll go into this a little bit, but you were the Hot Pockets guy for a little while. You were on a few TV shows.
At the end, I remember the last 6 auditions I had, I booked all 6 of them.
Wow.
And then I quit.
When 6 for 6, you're like, peace out.
Yeah, because the first 50 I got like nothing, and then like the next 50 I did pretty okay, and then the last 6 I was like boom, and then they were going to fly me to New York to test for some.
I remember you said that.
Test for a soap opera.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't remember what it was. So one of the big ones, All My Children or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was like between me and like 3 guys.
And that's actually one of the few jobs that you can get in acting that actually pays okay.
Yeah,
right?
I made like $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
But you also pointed out, and this was a sensitivity that I really got when we first started hanging out a bunch in Hollywood, and we'd be around all these folks that I previously would have thought, he was on that TV show, he must be so rich and so successful.
Yeah, they just weren't.
Yeah.
They just they weren't at all.
Well, you did the math for me. You're like, well, okay, step 1, the agent gets all of this stuff.
And
you
talked about 20%, manager gets 10 or 15, and then it's like, and then tax man gets 50% of what's left, and then you're like, wow.
What
do I have, like $600 out of that $2,000?
Yeah. And I remember you telling me a story about, and this isn't name dropping, it's just an interesting story. You were telling me about, I think you were on set with Danny Glover. Was there a Danny Glover story?
Yeah, I did one show.
And you were like, but here, and I think Danny Glover is a major actor.
Oh, it was. I did actually do a show with him where he was the narrator, but
okay.
I was thinking of when I also had a job at a casting office because I wanted to learn See, that's kind of like the curiosity thing that we're going to get into later.
Yeah, the
I was like,
culture of
okay, so
curiosity.
I'm an actor, right? And I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm taking classes. That's not really, classes aren't real. I wanted to work at a casting office and see how the actors got casted. So I just went to all of them, and I was like, I'll work for free. Like, I just want to be an intern here, whatever, and I'll do like.
Yeah, and I want to point out, and I definitely should have done this at the beginning of the video. This is part 2 of our video on how not to get stuck, and this is such a great, how not to get stuck, and this is a great example.
Talk a lot about curiosity and things like that. And
yeah,
I didn't even think that this would lead to this, but it's just interesting. So I interned at 2 different casting offices and just did all the scrub work.
So you identified, you're like, okay, what I'm currently doing isn't working. This was maybe in the period when you were doing the 50 auditions and being unsuccesssul.
Yeah.
And so you finally wanted to see what a success looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I
wanted to hear what they said when the actor left the room,
Right. And you actually get to see the audition.
Well, after a while, I had to work my way up to even being allowed to be in the room. But then I got to a point of working so long there for free and letting them just it was kind of like one of those movies where they just treat you like garbage.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I'll take it. I just need to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And I was working for free and they were treating me like garbage, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. That is funny.
But eventually I got to work my way up to where I got to read and there were actors coming in that I recognized from shows, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But I was reading on the page and they were just playing off of me.
Yeah.
And then the actor would leave the room and I would hear the things they say. And it wasn't anything like I thought it would be. It wasn't like, wow, it was cool when he said that one line. They would just generalize and be like, wow, that guy seems like a really nice guy.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like, that's all.
It was completely the opposite direction, because you thought they were very skillful, and obviously they weren't.
Yeah.
Like when they're casting.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the vibe and the feeling, and when you walk in the room, what you're projecting.
And this matter, if someone's watching this, if you're wondering why does this matter, well, number one, this is a business. The acting business is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I had the same experience when I got into internet marketing. I just wanted to see what a freaking business that was very successful looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited about the internet because I was like, well, if you can do it online, then you can do it on your computer. If you can do it on your computer, then I can freaking see it. And I think that's the same idea, that curiosity, that burning curiosity to be in the office and to actually see a deal getting done. Because then it's not.
But then that's where it came into play. Is Danny Glover had come in and he booked some movie of the week or something we were casting, and he was going to be on it for 2 months, and I think he got offered $30,000 or something. And I was
for 2 months.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. And he was like a multi-millionaire.
And obviously, of course, I'm not.
He was in Lethal Weapon.
He was, he's a huge actor. And you take something and you say, well, that's $15,000 a month. There's plenty of people watching right now that'll say, I would take $15,000 a month. That's great. We're not looking down on those at $15,000.
I was just under the assumption that everybody was getting rich like that.
Exactly. I mean, just to put things in perspective. And then here's this guy. He's a major accomplished actor, and he still has to pay the man.
Yeah, I think he actually got nominated for one of those TV awards, like an Emmy or Golden Globe or whatever.
For the work on that?
Yeah.
That's really
It was called The Last Brickmaker or something like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. So at the end of the day, how much is he making? He's making $15,000 a month, but the agent takes that cut.
I might be wrong on the 30, but it's somewhere around there. I know it's not much.
Right. And so all these people take the cut, then he pays taxes, and of course he's passionate about it, and that's still plenty of money.
He could have had enough money that he didn't need to worry about. He just wanted to do it because he liked it.
Absolutely. But the point is that that he's still a top shelf guy. I mean, if you've gone into acting and somebody said to you, one day you're going to have an acting career like Danny Glover, you'd probably be like, Gia!
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm thinking I'd be making a lot more than $30,000 every 2-month movie I do.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go. You were trying to kind of penetrate into the culture of success and trying to see what is, and I really identify with that myself because when I first got into high-tech internet marketing, I started seeing other people's businesses. I had VNGames.com, my card site where I was selling cards, but I'd never seen all these other businesses. So I went, when I went to my first online marketing seminar, which is the system that Ken McCarthy ran, I just had this burning curiosity, sitting in the audience.
Did he show you his business?
No.
That's the thing. Nobody ever does that. Really.
Right, and that was something that kind of led me to Annihilation Engine, was just wanting, even those StomperNet case studies that we did, where we did the screen capture videos of, the success stories. We'd say, well, okay, Sydney, you say that you are very successful using Brad and Andy's techniques, using search engine optimization. What do you rank for? And she says, how to sell on eBay. And so we were running the screen. I know you know this, but we were running the screen capture video. And we type into Google, how to sell on eBay. And see, Sydney was ranked #1 for it or whatever. But that was born out of the same desire that I had. That was so deep, this burning desire to freaking see it.
I can just feel it from the people on the blog and my blog and the customers and things that they're just like, show me. I want to see what a successful business looks like. How does it work? From ground zero, how does it work?
And one of the value propositions that we, as we were discussing this video a few minutes ago, that we arrived at, that we really want to be a part of this video and part of this video series, is showing how we're talking about how we're making it. Talking about the process, because we're making a product. We feel like this is going to be successful. We feel like this is going to really help people, and that's why we're doing it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's just me and you here with a $200 flip cam.
Yeah. And you've done like infomercials.
The infomercial was $130,000 to produce.
Unbelievable.
And it has 70 people in the crew and cast. It was crazy. But I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, it was like what you were saying about when you get a business, you think that money starts rolling in, so you just spend more money.
Yeah, and then I made like a series of 6 or 7 YouTube videos with Patrick, and it was like $50,000 to make. Yeah. And just, I don't know if those really, I don't know what they accomplished. Truly. Right. It was just kind of like fun for me, and I was like, oh, we'll get the brand out there a little bit and have some fun and maybe get some sales or whatever.
Well, now that was part of our feedback loop on YouTube, and that was something that I really credit you with. That whole summer in 2006, we were just so obsessed with YouTube and how incredible it was, and we'd really play off each other. And I admire the success that you had with that commercial, or not with the commercial, but those YouTube videos, because they have over 100,000 views. Yeah. That's really something. Mm-hmm. Now later on we were able to bring costs down and figure out how to bring costs down, and now it's $200.
Yeah.
Now it's and when we say $200, we mean for a camera that we could resell for probably $100. So and I like getting those details down because you'd like to know what is it. We're not even using professional lighting right now. We're using a chandelier. We're trying to be pretty careful.
Lighting off there, probably.
Yeah, a little bit off the light.
It's making my screen flash in my face a little bit.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But we're trying to do generally smart things like filming during twilight, so it won't be kind of as fuzzy or whatever. But
the thing is just this should be all about the content for everybody anyway. It doesn't have to be fancy schmancy,
Yeah, well, and what we did want to do, though, is we wanted to, and it's going to be one of the major topics of this particular video, and we think that this will probably be a 2-video, still another video to come after this, because it's so important to penetrate this thing. That black box is what keeps us from success. And when I say the black box, the not knowing.
It's just
what does it look
like?
It's
just a big black box with a question mark on it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's their computer screen. They're like, whoa,
it's scary. Yeah.
Does this really work? Are we special? They think we're special because we accomplished something. And once they figure out that we're not that special.
And one of the main things that we want to do in these videos, and we talked about this again and again, is keeping the pretense out, keeping any pretentiousness out, any implicitly wink, wink, I'm smarter than you kind of crap. Because when we've seen products, from folks that we've even admired, but then been like, I don't even feel like I can do that. I know this guy, and I don't feel like I can be as funny or as whatever, as polished.
A lot of the videos seem so refined and maybe scripted even, and I just, I don't think I could do it that well like that.
Well, you actually talked, and I think this is, it'll be valuable, and we'll delve a little bit into what you learned about acting, because actually you were somebody who coached me, and it was very important at the very beginning when I started Area 51 Marketing and Area 51 Lifestyle. I was like, we are going to do live video. We are going to do it. And so I don't know how, but we are going to do it, and we're going to do it well. Or I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well. And you would help me block things out, set up, certain shots and say, okay, I think you should do it this way or that way. And watch the videos.
Really, you just get it over and over and over and
over. Over and over and over again. And I would watch myself.
Yeah.
And so that's the same process that we're going to go through in business. And we want to, so a lot of what we're trying to do in this video is show what our culture looks like and how at the center of our culture is curiosity, when we're being successful.
And when we say culture, maybe you should define that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell them a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so what I mean by culture is, what are the conditions surrounding my life?
Right.
Are they conditions that are going to lead to success or failure? I'd like to point out that one of the things we're not doing during this video is living a terribly different life.